writing style was compelling, and I'm like, hell to the F no. If you want, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is gonna be the best video ever. I'm gonna be going on Goodreads and reading 5-star reviews on books that I hated, which is gonna be a shit show. I don't like disclaimers, so the only disclaimer I shall do will be in French. Impossible de s'abstenir. There, we can move on now. But honestly, why are you watching this video if you're sensitive about these topics? I love a good negative review. Personally, I find them very soothing. It's good for your soul. So, this is going to be so much fun. I'm like so into it. I'm wearing my fake lace sweater, and we're going to focus on this word because clearly I am sour here. Can you tell I'm more than ready for this? If you haven't seen it, I did do a version where I was reading hate reviews on books that I enjoyed, and it's basically the opposite concept here. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you want me to do more. Let me know in the comment section and everything, and subscribe to don't miss any future videos. Now, let's go on Goodreads. Hopefully it wasn't out of focus. If so, I'm sorry. My camera hates me. I think at this point we all know. So, Throne of Glass. I had given it 1 star because, I mean, there's nothing lower than 1 star. But, you know, it was entertaining to hate on it. I think that the main thing that everyone ever said about it, whenever I would complain about it, would be to defend the author and say how she wrote it when she was 16 or something. But my counter argument every single time would be to say that she was 26 when it was published. Look at me right now in the eyes and tell me you wouldn't bash me if I published this right now. Okay! The characters were well formed and excellently developed. There are recognizable and enjoyable twists on the classic Cinderella. I was also very impressed with the pacing and evolution of the story. This book was so good. The main female character is amazing. She was practical, not to mention completely badass, and could kill anyone with an hairpin if she wanted to. You know what? I think that's like straight up one of my main issues. I had read the first chapter in a try a chapter book tag. I was reading a bunch of super popular YA books and deciding which one I wanted to finish right now. And I finally ended up going back to this one like a year or two later. And from this first chapter, I was already having issues with the main character because, like, I mean, go on Goodreads, you can have access to like usually, I don't know how many pages, but definitely the first chapter. And you're probably going to get what I'm talking about. She's already like so much better than everyone. And I'm so tired of that trope because, like, it's always that main female character who, because she's a special snowflake for whatever reason, she is the prettiest person ever while still being so average. And everyone wants her, and she's the baddest bitch on the market because, again, with an hairpin, she can kill everyone. And it doesn't make any sense to me. She would spend like a year in basically a dead camp, whatever, in a mines, working, being malnourished, being almost this, that, blah, 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 starving to death, and she can still kill everyone so easily because she's special. Like, literally, like, her attitude was just annoying me because, like, anyone would feel a little defeated at this point, or at least that's how I feel, and people come and get her to show her to the prince, and literally, while they're, like, walking her with, like, I think she has a blindfold, and, like, she literally, like, smirked herself, and, like, the only thing all the intended disorientation had accomplished was to familiarize her with building. Idiots. And I'm like, oof, the ego. You know what I mean? So again, I guess it's definitely depending on if you have issues with those like classic tropes or not. But personally, I just had so many issues with it. And I guess it's going to be a question of perspective, you know? You either have issues with those things or you don't. Oh, see, that person is saying stuff about people giving it low ratings, so maybe this will be interesting. Let's do this. Let me just clear things up. Oh, we are ready for this. People are rating this book low because they don't like Selena, saying she's arrogant and self-centered or overconfident. Yeah, she's the worst assassin of all time. I didn't mention what the book was about, but I mean, at this point, I think on this channel, you know, if not, pause this video, go check the reading vlog and come back. It's pretty much spoiler free, so really, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about these books here without any spoilers, but you get it. I try my best to avoid it. But first of all, if Selena was a guy, you'd be head over heels for her. No. Absolutely not. No. But she's a girl, and now her story is being overlooked because instead of drowning in self-pity, she decides to stand up, throw her hair over her shoulder, and say, "Screw the world, I'm gonna survive." No. I admire her for not letting her time in Endovir, which is the prison, break her. How many books have you read with an author spending a dominant part of the plot trying to pry away the pity in the heart of her damaged characters? Yeah, that's right, almost every time. I think people appreciate when they can relate to a character going through their trauma. I feel like that's one of the things that I tend to not necessarily look for, but I appreciate how it makes them more human. But again, let's keep going. They're usually so engrossed with whatever they did or whatever they went through, they bury themselves in their past and drown themselves. Damn, it's the coffee. Drown themselves in their own sympathy, that it's actually ridiculous. I'm gonna disagree. It doesn't matter. But Selena isn't like that. She's getting hate for it. Yeah, because she's a complete bitch. Selena aside, Dorian was okay. That's the prince, right? And was he? I've got no rotten points to divulge. I feel back in school trying to read in class and not be able to pronounce anything in English and struggling and like, you know, the teacher would like do one sentence per person and I would like count where I was at and practice and just struggle. I'm going through like, we're talking back to my past traumas, you know? We're doing what Selena didn't do. I would, however, like to see his character develop further. I completely agree. It was very two-dimensional. That was my issues with most of the characters, like the two male characters, especially for the love triangle. They could have been anyone, which again, I like to say I'm getting flashbacks of Twilight with like Bella because she was so flat so everyone could like relate kinda. And it's kind of like that for a lot of characters when they're not well developed, and that was the case for them. So, I read a lot of reviews on this book, and the most common complaint is that Selena is too girly to be a believable assassin. I don't know what other people are saying, but that's definitely not my issue. I think she's just a shit assassin. Like, straight up, can't hear when people are coming into the room. She eats candies when they might be poisoned because she's a freaking idiot. And her being girly isn't my issue. It's her being so tiny and perfect while being able to beat or attempt to beat 23 whatever men's to win that contest. There were no other women because she can only be the only snowflake there. And honestly, it just wasn't because she was girly. That was the least of my issue. Let's just go to a different book because I'm having a hard time arguing with people just being, she's the baddest assassin, and I'm like, okay, I disagree, but whatevs, you know? The Unbecoming of Mary Dyer. That was one of the funniest review I have done. If you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure I made it to my worst books of 2017? Yeah. That was so fun to review. Like, it had a lot of potential. Like, it's a kind of paranormal story, and I hadn't read a lot of them, and I was really intrigued by this one. And again, it was something that was very, very easy to pinpoint every single little bit that annoyed me. I don't rate my books 1 star to 5 stars. I rate my books 1 star to The Unbecoming of Mary Dyer. Okay. I don't want to say... I really want to be nice, so I will just not say anything. You know what? I take it back. It's the book that made me a book snob. I like to think I'm a pretty decent person, and I always try to not say mean stuff just for the sake of saying mean stuff, but I'm gonna say something that isn't popular, and we'll blame it on the sour shirt. When people say like something like that, like, I'm not even looking at the person, I have no idea who it is and everything, I won't even look it up because it's nothing personal at all. But like, I've noticed that a lot with certain books, that people get very emotionally attached to books, and like, it's the best book of all time they've ever read. And again, maybe I'm a complete bitch for saying and thinking these things, but sometimes I wonder like how many other books you've read, because obviously everyone has a different opinion, but sometimes the book is so bad. Oh, you know what? I'm not doing that. You know what? I'm not doing it. But you know where this is going. There's like a huge quote of one of the things that happened, and I cannot deal. The main guy was the worst ever. He had like that English accent, he's the hottest bitch on the market, and like, of course you find out that he's really rich, because of course. And he's like literally quoting Lolita, and it's a mess. I don't understand people are into it, let's be real. I was very hesitant to start this book. I was convinced it would be nothing special and I wouldn't like it. Same girl, same. You can imagine my surprise when I felt hooked to this story since page one. Page one. I did think it was intriguing, the first chapter. It's again a book I read the first chapter in a try chapter book tag. I don't think was it the one I finished? I don't remember. But I did read it fairly quickly afterwards because there was a lot of potential, but I kept being so disappointed and frustrated with the rest of the story. And apparently, it feels like I have an unpopular opinion just because I'm reading all the 5 stars review, right? But everyone is like, oh, now for the romance. Michelle Akin is trying to kill us with this romance. Heart attacks and swooning will ensue. Noah, Noah, Noah. He's everything you love, I guarantee it. Trust me, he's not. Even has an accent. He's also a bit of a bad boy with a reputation, just what every girl likes. That's why he tells her that she's not like other girls. I'm so salty over this book, seriously. Like, it's one of those books that I can literally probably find every single tropes I hate all in that one book. So it's like, there's no insta love. I so freaking disagree. So freaking disagree. The minute he sees her, he's like, moving on her like a bitch. My camera literally died on this. Yeah. Incredibly first insta love thing. And like, even there's a mean girl and like, again, instantly they hate each other. And I just can't stand that trope. It's just so stupid. There's a believable, intense, sexy attraction that builds slowly. Makes you fall in love, blah, blah, blah. Hell no. No, 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 no. That's the best romance I've read in a long time. Okay. Moving on. But when people say that, like, there was a bunch of creepiness, I agree. I mean, the main male character was also creepy as hell. But I mean, like, I like the paranormal elements, and it's kind of why I got so angry over the book. It's just that I kept reading in the hope that I would get more of that, but I kept getting more of the cringy stuff, and I kind of got very, very annoyed. And like, even the quotes people put, I just can't deal. Like, in my rush, I hadn't tied my shoelace. Noah was now tying them for me. He looked up at me through his dark fringe of lashes and smiled. The expression on his face melted me completely. I knew I had the goofiest grin plastered on my lips and I didn't care. There, he said as he finished tying the lace of my left shoes. Now you won't fall. Too late. Completely fall in love with him. I can't deal. It makes me cringe. The dialogues was incredibly witty and funny. I think that's again a question of taste. For me, it just felt like trying so hard to be not like other books. But seriously, I don't know, guys. I thought it was going to be more fun to do than this. Honestly, I feel like such a biatch to just read positive reviews and bashing them. I'm not sure I like this. I thought this was going to be more fun than the other version, but I think I prefer the other version. This is just mean. Honestly, it seems to be one of those cases where everyone likes their romance, which again, I'm not a fan of romance, even though I did do a video about my favorite romance book, but it seems to be more like people being very into Noah and liking the paranormal elements than anything else. And clearly he was not my favorite character, so it didn't really work for me. Let's go with Attachments by Rowell, which I probably have somewhere because I decided to keep it because I'm a petty person and I hated this book. It's supposed to be an adult contemporary, and basically the IT guy is being creep and reading all the emails of between 2 women and falling in love with one of them because he's a creep. Did I say he was a creep? Because he's a freaking creep. My main issue was that he was portrayed as a unlovable, creep. And like, he's 28, he's a loser, he lives with his mom, she makes his lunch. You get the like fake idea, but it turns out he's super hot and tall and absolutely perfect, multiple degrees and all that crap. And it's just like, yeah, of course he is. He's also muscular. Forgot to mention the most important part. So let's see what we can find that is 5 stars and that I can comment on. Again, I don't hate everyone, okay? I love you all. Everyone is saying like, oh, this is so dang cute, surprising, not cheesy. It's not cheesy because it's creepy. So creepy. Like, my issue with it was that like the girl was barely creeped out when the guy like comes out of nowhere after her. Like, who's like, dang, I'm so happy you creeped the shit out of myself just to find and like meet me because you're in love with me because you've read like 5 emails of me. Slow building romance. On which side? The creepy guy? Or like for her? because he suddenly appeared and she was suddenly okay with it. It's not slow building to me. Like, honestly, in my head, the book should have ended with, like, her being creeped out and him being, like, a complete incel, or, like, nice guy, whatever. Like, guy had issues. I don't know who is more pathetic. Characters leading pathetic lives, or the reader who loved reading about these characters. No, they gave it 5 stars. I thought we were... That was weird because we agree right now. I'm pretty sure it's the latter, although I could care less about what this says about me. Okay, because she adored it. Okay. Because I was like, you're not a 5-star review? Many may disagree. But I think the premise of this novel is completely original, in my opinion, the most creative plot yet in the 4 books of Rowell, as I've already read. Characters who feel so real. I swear, honestly, my issue with it is that, like, it feels real, I agree, because there are some creeps like that in real life, but the ending is not realistic to me. Like, I swear, like, do people feel differently? Like, I mean, clearly they do, but, like, let me check who follows me and gave it 5 stars. The first sentence in the summary is what drew me in. Hi, I'm the guy who reads your email, and also I love you. Don't tell me this doesn't sound like the next freaking creepy thriller. It does. Like, it's straight up creepy. Am I the only one here? I feel so alone reading those 5-star review because to me, it's like as creepy as it gets. It's just, what do you do when you fall in love with someone you haven't really met? Request an appointment to my therapist. What the hell? You're not in love. You don't know them. You don't put people on a pedestal and then meet them, realize they're not these people, and fucking kill them and hide their body. Like, it doesn't work that way in real life. Everyone should read it. It's got something for everyone in it. Yeah, it had something for me, creeping me out. What the hell, people? All have very different tastes. Oh, I'm noticing actually a lot of positive reviews are really old, like 2013 and 15. So maybe people were younger and didn't catch on these things, because I do feel like it sounds bad, but I feel like when I was younger, there's a bunch of plots and everything that I wouldn't notice in books. For example, in the Unbecoming of Mary Dyer, for example, I would have been like swooning over the fact that he told her she wasn't like other girls. Like, it's the type of thing that a boy would tell me in real life, and I would be like, yeah, I'm not like other girls, you know? I'm like actually smart, and like I like school and sports and like bullshit, you know what I mean? And it's just pure self-hate and just trying to survive in this world. But like, now I'm like, bish, please, don't you dare tell me that. Other girls are awesome and there's nothing wrong with being like them. But you know, this was such an adorable story. Agree to disagree. When I read the blurb, I thought it was going to be some weirdly creepy story of some guy stalking women via their email. Yeah, because it is. But it's so much more than that. And a wee bit creepy. See? It is creepy. You're admitting it. It's fucking creepy. This book had me in stitches. I don't even remember it being funny. I didn't have any issues with the female characters, like their friendship through emails was fine. Maybe I was just too focused on my issues with it to really enjoy it. I found myself rooting for Lincoln and hoping everything turned out okay. See, have you watched the TV show You? Because that's exactly the same thing. You find yourself rooting for the freaking creep, even though he's a freaking creep in reality. You would never want him to actually win. This is exactly the same thing to me, like straight up. They're obviously a different story, but too close for comfort. And maybe I sort of kind of want my own stalker. Yes, only because he's tall, muscular, hot, multiple degrees boy. Let's be real. If he was what you would think usually a creepy person that reads your email would look like, you would not be okay with it. You wouldn't. And I hate this trope that this is giving those creepy people even more fuel for their hate. Like, they would think, oh, that's interesting. I gave 1 star to Altered Carbon, which I didn't finish, so really I shouldn't even be allowed to review it because I said that last time in the other books. But I tried really hard to like it, but I felt like there was so many ridiculous... It was like, it felt like a 15-year-old tried to write porn and pretend that it was sci-fi. Like, how many mentions of like boobs and nipples? I feel like these authors would feel incredibly sad knowing how little usually women think about their own boobs. You'd be surprised how not often I think about my own nipples. Like, maybe during the summer, if I'm not wearing a bra and I'm like, shit, maybe I should be wearing like nipple covers, and then terrorize myself as soon as I remove my shirt at night and realize where are my nipples. But other than that, sorry to disappoint. Honestly, all this is doing is pissing me off. I'm reading the reviews and like, I just don't agree, but like, I can't make fun of anything. Like people saying that the story was a good one, the mix of mystery and action worked well, the sci-fi setting was cool, interesting, and the writing style was compelling, and I'm like, hell to the F no. Like, the writing was straight up painful for me to read. It didn't flow nicely, and I just could not get into the story because by the point of like page 120 when I did DNF the book, there had been so many freaking mentions of boobs and the main character's dick getting hard. Like, I never noticed that in any other sci-fi. And I've read a bunch of classic sci-fis, and yes, sometimes they are sexist, but I blame it more for the fact that the book was written like 1950s or something. But this one is more recent, and it's just straight up painful to read. Like, at page 120, I DNF'd it because there was an awkward sex scene, which, like, very twisted consent given, and it just, I don't know, like, the writing was not nice to me, but again, everyone will feel differently. This was 100% a sci-fi noir detective story. It was a very good one, but did still suffer from occasional overdose of the genre typical trope, which I did find a little annoying, the worst of them being vaguely misogynistic to the whole story. Vaguely? When Deadpool met Rishi, I had issues with this one. Technically, I did DNF'd it at 50%, but I'm counting it because 50%. And I kind of went into reviews after finishing it to get the spoilers, and I was glad I DNF'd it. My issue were that basically the main female character is Indian American, and her parents wants her to be in an arranged marriage, and she wants to have a career, and she goes during summer to like a camp to create an app, and unknown to her parents send the arranged marriage boy there too, and they meet, and I expected this book to maybe be like, oh, I'm gonna follow my own dream, and you know, like, I don't want to follow tradition, or maybe she would eventually become into it or something, but it just moves completely away from her having a career, her creating an app, which was like her passion. And like, it's an insta-love story where it becomes more about like a dense competition that comes out of nowhere, and just about the boy kissing the boy, having sex with the boy, just boy, you know what I mean? So, plus she was a rude person. Like, she literally keeps hitting him, and he keeps telling her it hurts and to stop, and she keeps going for it, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's not cute to beat up a boy just because he's a boy. It's not okay. No hitting anyone, boys or girl, or anyone else. No one. Them. Everyone. If you were looking for your perfect cute summer contemporary romance novel, look no further. Dimple is such a queen. Any girl who can call out her mom misogynistic views by page 5 is a girl I can get behind. I would agree, except that she literally accept the situation 5 seconds later. And I completely understand that obviously Indian culture is different. People want to please their parents and definitely don't want to just, you know, fight. But what annoyed me was the fact that it felt like a bait and switch. She seemed very strong from the beginning, but straight away she just is perfectly okay after 5 seconds. And it really bothered me because, you know, it's sold to us in a, she wants to not be like that. She wants to follow her own dreams and then fuck her dreams, you know? Rishi is a lovable dork. Rishi. Honestly, I liked Rishi, so I have no issue with him. I do think he was a lovable, goofy person full of life. I completely agree with that part of the review, and I mean, I'm sure everyone else saw him that way. I think the only thing I would have liked to see more of, not that the book is not absolutely fabulous, is a more developed story of the web design aspect of this book. That was such a big issue in the book. Like, telling me she wants to create an app and then there's nothing about it. The fact that like the dense competition appeared out of nowhere and took over the whole book with the romance, and it wasn't anything about her following her dream. I was really annoyed by that aspect. So yeah, I do agree that I wish there had been more aspect of them working on that. But yeah, I didn't feel it like it was precious. I didn't feel like it was my new OTP like the people are saying. I wanted to root for them. Like, even if I'm always saying that I don't like romance, it's not really true. It's just that my issues is that too often the romance that I see, I hate because they're insta-love, because they're not realistic, because I have so many issues with them. But I'm not dead inside. I do want the characters to fall in love with other people too. One of the main themes of the novel is how the characters balance their own dreams with their family expectations and traditions. That's what I was hoping for, but didn't get. I think that some people were really pushing that book because it was more diverse. It has more diversity. I feel like I don't read a lot of books that has two actually Indian Americans being the main characters, and I don't really have an issue that they followed the traditional culture. My issue was that, again, the bait and switch. Let's go on to check the selection. I read the whole trilogy, and I always joke around saying that I had the flu. I blame the flu. I had no control over the whole thing. And it's funny because I actually did have the flu and I was like dying in bed and I wanted something distracting. And the series was addicting in a way of like, think like TV show. What's the name of that? Reality TV show. Like, you're enjoying it, I guess. You can't stop yourself. It's like compulsive and it's probably not really good for you, but you can't stop. That's kind of what happened with the series. And I feel like if you want something that is unputdownable and you don't mind romance and things being a little bit / a lot over the top, you're probably gonna enjoy this. Like, it was fine for what it was. My main issues were the world was so not developed, the love triangles were so painful, and the girl hate was very much present towards the first two books, but mainly the second one. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't pretend to be great literature. It doesn't pretend to be amazing. So I don't really have that many issues with the book per se. And it does seem to be one of those books that there's a bunch of 1 stars, but there's a bunch of 5 stars also. So let's see if we can find something I can disagree with, I guess. Honestly, I'm reading reviews and I can't deal. How do people do those videos? Yeah, everyone is saying it's like Hunger Games Bachelor, which, again, if you're someone that likes to watch Bachelor, then maybe that's going to be something that you're more into. See, this I felt in my soul. First of all, don't judge. I felt that. I felt that. I'm falling into a slump and nothing can get me up other than fluffy ass romance, so I'm going to reread this addictive trash, aka my guilty pleasure, that is the selection. Yes, I am. Send help. I feel you. I'm okay with it. I mean, like, people sometimes get offended when people call things like guilty pleasure or trash, but really, it's the best way to say it and make it fun. And I have no issue with that. I think my issue is when people are like saying it's the best book they've ever read, that I'm like, again, I shouldn't judge, but like, the love triangle was tolerable. No. No. You know, my issue, same as like Hunger Games, they mentioned it, so I might as well, is that it feels like a forced love triangle. Like, yeah, straight up forced. And that's what annoys me. Like, too often a friend has to be the third person in the love triangle. It's just awkward. Why can't people just be friends? Like, just make them stick to one person. Let's just move on. Let's go with The Gunslinger by Stephen King, which I gave it, was it 1 or 2 star? That was a mess of a book. A mess of a book. You know when you're reading a book and you're like, is it even a language that I speak? Because what am I reading? And he admitted himself that it was not his best book, or probably his worst book. So I am safe here. Safe from judgment. But it was one of those books where like you felt that he was 18 when he wrote it. Look how I can write with a bunch of adverbs and do a great job at it, but confuse everyone. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those books where people read it and like, don't you even dare look at it wrong because people are gonna jump at your throat. The writing is great. And it warmed me up to Stephen King. Honestly, the writing has nothing, like, it's not comparable to anything else that I've read by him. I mean, I haven't read everything, but it's completely different. This book is something of an oddity. That being the first time I read it, I probably would have given it 3 stars. See, I think the first time you read it, you and me probably would have agreed more. And felt quite generous doing so. Maybe we do agree. It was really meh. Agree. And though I was a King fan, I wasn't pleased with it after the hype. So far we agree a lot. Like a lot. I even delayed reading book 2. Okay, we are the same person. That's it. It's a fact. Because I was somewhat turned off. Yeah. I didn't hate it. But it left me ambivalent for the most part. But this is definitely a book that gets better with time, with rereads, and the rest of the series. I mean, I'm sure the rest of the series is so much better, but I doubt that it would make the first book better. It's hard to make sense of, hard to get into. Thank you! The synopsis was really short and vague, but once I finished the book, everything seemed to clear up. We do not agree with that. I have never finished a book and felt this confused about it. Like, I read the book, and I just understood nothing that was going on, and then things would clear up a bit, and I would be, okay, like, things are picking up, whatever happened before, maybe it's me. And then, nope, things would get weird again, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like, ooh, the haze of, like, being in the desert, and, like, the heat is affecting him, and he's troubled, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but it was confusing as hell, so I put the book down and was like, I don't know what I read for 200 pages, that is all. I feel like people that review this book have read the whole series and they're like just giving 5 stars to everything. I'm being, again, an ass saying that, but that's how I feel. Like, you can't judge. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not the, like, decider. Was it last time? That was from the last video saying I'm the queen of any decisions that make absolutely no sense. But, like, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that I hate when people review a whole series together on the first book, and I'm like, I don't know these things. Like, when I read Throne of Glass, you can't tell me that she has a special reason for being this special. Because, yeah, I can kind of read between the lines throughout the book, but it's annoying as hell because it's still the same trope of, like, a girl being special because of that she has to be the prettiest bland person ever. And it's annoying. It just is. Honestly, please let me know if you haven't read the rest of the series, or if you remember how you felt after reading the first book. Not after you read all 7. Let me in the comment section, because I swear, I read it. I don't know if my edition was weird or something. Oh, I do have it. This is the edition that I have. And I was laughing because there are a few pictures in there, and straight up the pictures are not even at the right spot in the book, and it was just making me laugh even more because even the freaking editor was confused as I'm noticing I want to swear a lot in this video. But yeah, it's just such a mess of a book. Like, you could not pay me to read this. And by that, I mean you could probably pay me to read this if you pay me a lot of money. But, like, really, you could not pay me to read this. I will link my PayPal. No, I will not. But seriously, like, it was just so confusing. I would never want to reread this, you know what I mean? Let me say something first. There's really no point in reading any Stephen King story if you don't read the Dark Tower series first. I disagree. I have read a lot of his other books and enjoyed them. I understand that maybe Dark Tower explains more. It doesn't matter. You can still, I'm telling you, I'm giving you permission right now, officially. Super officially. You can actually read other Stephen King books without reading the Dark Tower series. This is so painful. I swear this is the hardest video ever. I'm starting to look more and more disheveled as the video is going on. I'm getting discouraged here, okay? I warned you it was going to be a shit show. So, let's do Harry Potter and the Cursed Child because that's where we're at right now. Do I need to go in detail? Characters being out of character and just an overall shit show with plot holes. I think that from the reviews I'm seeing right now is just people being happy to be back, you know? I feel like it's kind of tinting everyone's review. Like, I feel you. I've reread Harry Potter so many times and I will continue to do so for the rest of my life, but it's fan fiction and badly written one. Like, you cannot compare it. It was not written by her. Yes, she approved it, whatever. Let's pretend that never happened. But really, it's just not the same. I mean, yeah, it's just, no. I haven't seen the play though. Has anyone seen it and did it change your opinion? Like, everyone's saying that they love the relationship between Harry and his son, and I so disagree. Harry was such doo-doo head, like straight up douche canoe, and like he made no sense as a character. And Hermione was so out of character, and like even Ron was like the worst. And I'm telling you, why am I doing this video? I just can't deal. Honestly, kids, I'm sorry. This was not what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be fun, and it wasn't. I'm sorry. Hope you still love me. And, yeah, give it a thumbs up in moral support for me having to read all these 5-star reviews of books that I don't like. And don't forget to subscribe because usually my videos are better than this. And I will be putting on the screen the videos that I've done, including the one where I read said bad reviews on books I love. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.